Hello everyone, this is Ajit here, and today we are going to learn about Cisco SD-WAN, one of the most promising and one of the most uh, asked technology in today's scenario, where every organization is moving from their traditional network or traditional WAN to SD-WAN. So, what difference SD-WAN come with, and what was the issue that as traditional WAN was facing? How Cisco SD-WAN or any other vendor of SD-WAN is changing those issues or resolving those issues. So let's start the first video today of Cisco SD-WAN, where we are going to understand uh, the overview of SD-WAN, like we are going to cover here what was the issue behind the traditional WAN that we have, then how SD-WAN come into picture, how it resolve those issues, what other features that it is coming up that adding the values into SD-WAN, and how we can utilize those uh, features or technology that can help each other. So let's start now. So as we all know, in traditional devices, we have router or switches. Each device has control plane and data plane. So same box consists of control plane also, and same box consists of data plane. Now control plane talk about how, and data plane talk about what. So if we have any any prefix, so that prefix is what says data plane, and how that prefix will be route to another destination or another hop that that decide your control plane. So same box having the capability of control plane and data plane. So that is the traditional device that we already have. So, and if in case if that specific box goes down, then we are going to lose control plane and data plane both. So you can understand that if in a normal traditional one, what happened that if a box that you are using, if that box goes down, you lost the access and all the network behind that box if there is no other reachability to that other subnets or other boxes from different boxes. Correct. So in that is one of the major reason and one of the most common issue that we have in the traditional network. Now let's take an example that if I have a R1, R2, R3, all these are the networks that are connected, and if my prefix 10.10.10.231 slash 24, if it is R1 learn here, so what it learn, same box has the control plane, that this is the prefix, and data plane. Now I need to route this traffic. For example, let's me take here. Okay, so if I have to reach to R3, the one option that I have, okay, I can reach from R2, then I can move to R3, right? Another box that I option that I have, I can move from here and I can move to this. So the path that I have is R1, then R2, and then R3, and then I have R5, sorry, R1, then R5, then R4, and then the final R3. Now, in case if this R1 goes down, everything goes down, right? So there's no reachability unless until this prefix has already been learned by R2 and R5. Okay. Now, in case if R5 goes down, this entire path will be down if it is not learned, because there is no other way that they can learn. There's no other connectivity. Okay. So this is one of the most common issue that we have in traditional box in traditional network, that if you lose your one box that consists of control plane and data plane, then you are losing the entire segment behind that box or entire network behind that box. So is SD-WAN is going to divide your control plane data plane, or is SD-WAN is going to make some changes here that can resolve these issues? Let's figure out. So or only this specific reason that's why we have SD-WAN. It's not possible, right? So let's understand what more other reasons that we have that cause SD-WAN to come into the market. The most common issue that we face here is higher latency. Now, moving the traffic from remote sites to the data center and then to the cloud increase the overall round trip times. Normally, what happens in traditional network, if I have this data center, okay, now if this is my remote site, and every time this remote sites is has to come to data center, and from data center it has to go to access an application if it is hosted in cloud. Now the round trip time from this to this and from this to this, has increased, and that is another factor that is causing the high latency. Now, as the advancement of applications, now requirement of applications and the performance of applications uh, demand more requirement. Okay, now you have to there are applications like like Office 365 or certain financial applications that demand a very high performance, and due to this increase round trip time, it's not possible to give or provide the connectivity to every customer the same time with the same speed, the same performance with the same throughput. That is one of the more another important reason why we have to move to SD-WAN. Next reason was availability. Now, running everything through the company's data center creates a single point of failure. So that's another reason when you have a data center and every your remote sites is coming to your data center, or they are coming to the hub site, or your small branches. Everybody is coming to a hub site or coming to data center for internet or for something to access. And if that specific data center goes down, there is a possibility of single point of failure unless until we there are certain customer they where they have the resiliency of data center, but still the failover takes a few macroseconds, but that is still a single point of failure, right? Because you are going to lose your data for that specific nanosecond or microsecond, because that's going to do the failover. So small things matters here in network, and that is very important for us to understand how things and what is the basic important reason of requirement of SD-WAN. Then we have the dependency. Now, deploying the private MPLS circuit is a slow and tedious process, and that usually slow down the rollout of new remote sites. In normal, in a production environment, there's always a requirement to install a new circuit to any new sites. Now, requesting ISP to provide the MPLS circuit goes to from 2 months to 3 months to 6 months to sometimes to 1 year also. Correct. So this is a proper tedious process. It's a lengthy process that needs to be followed, and then there's a lot hell a lot of loss of operation and a loss of business to the customer itself. So these are the few most important reason why traditional network was failing. So why SD-WAN? Now, number one reason is better utilization of available links. Now, what happened that in traditional network, as we all know, if I have, let's take an example here. So if I have this MPLS link and I have one internet link, okay, and now at on the C side I have this box, okay. First, let's take an example like this. They are connected like this, okay. Now, at a time, only one link is active. So if MPLS is primary, so there's no utilization of internet link. But in SD-WAN, you can use both the link at the same time. So that means both the links are available active. So you can see, you can imagine how much traffic enduring you can do, how much traffic load sharing, load balancing, all those things you can do. You can divide the traffic as per the, your data wise. For example, if I want to have my data traffic on MPLS and voice traffic on internet, that I can do at the same time. Or if I want to have my video traffic on the internet and voice traffic on the MPLS, that I can do. So at the same time, I am able to use my MPLS and internet link together. That is one of the important reason of utilization of available link. Second that I have is, instead of implementing security measure on each individual location, SD-WAN allow you to set up a universal security functions such as cloud web content filtering, malware defenses, and intervention protocols, so all systems can be updated in a timely manner. It also has built-in encryption capabilities, so only authorized users can access your data. Now, in traditional network, what happened that on each site we have to deploy the firewall. On each site we have to deploy the IPS, IDS, all those things. But in SD-WAN, of the centralized location, the centralized management, you can do all these things at the same time. On the cloud, and every small the segment that we have, like on the cloud segment, or we have the URL filtering, we have the content filtering, malware defenses, intervention protocols. Everything can be updated, everything can be controlled from the centralized place, and it's help for the ease of deployment and ease of control. That is, see, security is one of the important factor for any network, and SD-WAN is doing the same thing in a much easier and a better way. Another reason that we have is automatic configuration and ease of deployment. So SD-WAN simplifies the deployment of WAN system for business. You can send devices to each location unconfigured, thereby reducing IT workload. That's another important reason. On activation, each device can download its own policy, crypto certificate, and key based on the location and access requirement. Now, international network, as we all know, whenever we have to send site any device to the site, first device will go to the site, then we have to send field engineer on the site, then field engineer has to check the console, then we have to send the configuration via the email, and all those steps are there. But now in SD-WAN, everything is deployment and control, everything is cannot not only done by the centralized way, but it also does by the automatic configuration. So there are options where we can do the automatic configuration. There are options where we have the requirement of field engineer. But if it's reduced the cost to 90%, if 90% of devices can bring automatically, so you can understand how much task, how much cost it helps the customer to reduce, right? Now, another is faster provisioning. So now you can provision new location quickly using broadband circuit instead of waiting long lead times for fiber installation. This can significantly reduce the time and cost required to connect a new branch to the corporate world. See, in what happened, if you remember in traditional network, even to have the MPLS circuit, it takes lengthy process a long time. But with SD-WAN, we can provision the site faster with the broadband circuit easily without waiting for the fiber to install it. So both the things can be done parallelly. So your site will be up on the broadband, and parallelly you can have your process to follow to install the fiber. And once everything is done, you can move from the broadband to the fiber. So from the customer point of view, he is not losing the business, and he is utilizing the business and has run his operation and production is working all the time. Correct. Now you can see the centralized management. To also streamline the management and orchestration of IT activities. Example, scaling up or down bandwidth needs from a central location. So you don't have to send IT personnel to each individual branch, right? So understand the same thing again. So from the centralized place, you are not only controlling the bandwidth, you can reducing the site, you can upscaling the site, you can reducing the number of devices, you can upscaling the number of devices, everything you're doing from the remote location, from the centralized place, and you overall you are reducing a big amount of money for the customer. Then the software as a services. Now, SD-WAN solutions that support a broad range of applications, especially latency sensitive ones, can improve cloud application performance. Now, software as a service or infrastructure as a service, these are the different technology or different features that we have. SD-WAN helps to onboard your applications on the multi-cloud. It's not only one cloud that you can onboard. On the multi-cloud, like on a private cloud or a public cloud, you can onboard them, and then you can have easily availability of those applications without so much of hassle. So these are the very important reason that SD-WAN come with the picture in the market, and makes the traditional network bound the net customer to move the network from traditional network to the SD-WAN. So you can see here as secure as automated SD-WAN, application performance optimization, another reason for to move from traditional network to SD-WAN, secure direct internet access. That means now you can directly access the internet, because normally what happened that in remote sites they have to come to data center to access internet. But now with this SD-WAN, there's a feature where you can provide the remote site itself to access the internet directly. Okay, so branch security, every branch can be secure because of the security features that we have already discussed. Multi-cloud access, which I have already told you, it's not only one cloud that you can integrate, but you can integrate multiple cloud together and still utilize the same resources without further complications. So these are the most important factors, and I hope it is very clear to you that why we have Cisco SD-WAN or any other SD-WAN that is uh, asking the customer to move from the traditional network to SD-WAN.